Principles of Teaching Grammar, Nora Kay. It is important for teachers to have an understanding of how to teach grammar to their students, but when teaching grammar to EL students, it's important for teachers to understand the how, when, and why certain words are formed and used in specific context. In this presentation, I will review different principles. Some of the principles contain different approaches to teaching grammar and examples of how it can look. 3 dimensions of grammar: form, meaning, use. Let's begin with defining 3 important terms associated with grammar and why each of them are beneficial when teaching grammar to EL students. According to Teaching by Principles, 4th edition by Brown and Lee, the following terms are defined as follows. Form refers to observable structural components such as the phonemes, graphemes, inflectional morphemes, and syntactic patterns. In this example, the grammar focus is turning a noun from singular to plural by adding an S. Look at the word car. The word car is singular. To make it plural, we add S at the end, creating the new word cars. The word cars is pronounced cars. This may sound like an easy grammar focus for those of us who have English as a native language, but Japanese-speaking students are not used to nouns having more than one form. In other words, they don't differentiate between plural and singular nouns. Meaning refers to the semantic level of the structural items, including lexical and grammatical meaning. What does the word mean? The word cars means that there is more than one car. Use. Use accounts for meanings across different contexts and discourse. It is the when and why. Why? Adding an S creates a new meaning for the word car to now cars, which means more than one. Lexical-grammatical approach. The lexical-grammatical approach is a term that combines the word lexis, vocabulary, and grammar together. This term is used to show that certain words are connected grammatically. For example, when teaching students the correct prepositional words for time, it is important to explain that the words at, on, and in are used when talking about specific time frames. Though this type of lexicogrammatical focus is important, it will take EL students some time to fully understand when to use these words with specific time frames. Use of grammatical forms in communicative tasks. Having students use charts, objects, maps, or drawings are great ways to work with grammatical forms. For example, when working with beginning EL students on prepositional phrases, the teacher can create a lesson where the students need to listen to a sentence and place an object on a picture based on the prepositional phrase. This task can be extended for the students to develop their own prepositional phrases using drawings and placements of objects. Look at the picture of the park. Using the picture of the park and the squirrel, the teacher can orally tell the students where to place the squirrel in the picture, focusing on prepositional words. Example, the squirrel is on the bench. Place the squirrel near the trees. I like to do these types of grammar lessons with my beginner and younger EL students. The students like to get actively involved in the lesson and then apply what they understood through acting out the sentence or in speaking it and then writing the sentence on their own. Dialogues and conversations are another great task that provides students with the opportunity to focus on grammatical forms in a communicative task. The teacher provides the grammar skill, focus, and modeling. Then the students are provided different opportunities to practice the grammar with peers. Input-based and output-based grammar. Incorporating input-based and output-based grammar lessons helps students apply skills that have already been taught. Look at the following 4 grammar approaches. Input enhancement. Input enhancement is a technique used to help students discover the grammar form through highlighting parts of a text or orally stressing the focus. In the two examples that I have on here, let's look at the highlighting of the prepositional words. Place the squirrel on the bench. The words on and near are highlighted to demonstrate the prepositional words in the sentence. Input flood. Input flood is a technique where the grammar focus is used repeatedly. It can be used with text or in a communicative task. An example could be used with the squirrel activity from slide 4. The teacher could orally provide the prepositional phrases and then have the students work in pairs or in small groups to discover the grammar skill. Input processing. Input processing is more of an explicit way to teach grammar. Authentic texts are used to help make the connections between the meaning and the form. Explicit grammar lessons using deductive, inductive, and abductive approaches. Forms of grammar can be taught through deductive, inductive, and abductive approaches. The deductive approach of grammar is when teachers use grammar rules. The grammar focus is announced at the beginning of the lesson, and the explanation of the rule is explained in detail with the practice of the grammar rule after. It is a teacher-led grammar lesson. Inductive approach, the teacher provides the examples and highlights the grammar focus so that the students can visually see how the grammar form is used. The teacher then asks questions to draw out the grammar rule from the students. In the abductive approach, students are immersed in a grammar task, discovering the pattern on their own, with minimal help from the teacher. The teacher helps guide the students but does not explicitly explain the grammar skill. Implicit grammar lessons. Grammar lessons that are taught implicitly create an authentic opportunity within the classroom that can be used and applied outside of the classroom. Implicit grammar lessons focus more on meaning rather than on form and are used through meaningful communication, connecting current actions so students are able to connect the grammar skill focus without the teacher providing the explanation. Some examples of implicit grammar lessons could be using games. Examples are who has type games, like Go Fish, for example. The students will be practicing asking questions and answering questions. Corrective feedback. When providing corrective feedback to EL students, take into consideration the following. Your relationship with the student. Is the student new to the school or the country? How well do you know the student? What is the student's motivation style? The better the relationship you have, the better the corrective feedback will be accepted. You can also ask yourself, has these skills already been taught? If you have not taught the grammar focus, that would be a great time to create a mini lesson and teach the focus, and then the student can apply the grammar skill into their work. If you have already taught the skill where the mistake occurred, revisit the lesson or activity to help build the understanding. Written corrective feedback versus oral corrective feedback. Corrective feedback in writing can occur then and there. For writing, the student can see the error, the teacher explains the error, and the student can then correct the error. For oral corrective feedback, it's a little bit more tricky. We don't want to be continuously pointing out all of the errors when students speak. This will backfire and most likely cause the student's motivation to slow down or stop altogether. Different cultural views of grammar instruction. Being aware of your students' different cultures for grammar instruction is not any different than being aware of the cultures for any other subject. Knowing your students' language one and understanding the different uses or non-uses of grammar skills in that language is important. Like I mentioned previously in slide 2, Japanese language students do not discriminate between singular or plural nouns, and this is also the same for Chinese-speaking students. This information is important for the teacher to know in order to create grammar lessons that are tailored for the EL students in their classroom. Thank you.